Okay, just a quick one. Korsun Pocket 2. Play continues. We're cranking through turns now. It's the 8th of Feb AM, end of the AM turn for the Germans. And the Germans are in a spot of bother. We've really had to, while we did counterattack into here and sort of relieve these forces that were fortified, we've had to abandon this flank basically over here. It's just, it's really not tenable. 16th Tank Corps, it's got a little bit of punch to it, particularly when we start bringing 42nd Guard and 38th into the mix. And then the Soviets brought an engineering unit adjacent to the river, which, from my reading of the rules, allows us to reduce the cost of crossing the river, number one, and number two, they can also reconstruct and rebuild bridges, so there's no bridge there. But infantry units, I can dismount these guys and we can push them across the river here and get them into the fight, which would have flanked these guys and potentially put them all out of supply. And this is really my 1st Panzer Fire Brigade force. Need to keep them relatively mobile, so they're straggling back. It's mud for this turn, and then it stays. I think it'll go mud overnight on the 8th, and the rest of the turns are mud, which means no deep mud, which means none of my roads up here will be washed away, but it is going to mitigate or impact my ability to keep these chaps in supply. So they'll probably move into limited supply mode, which you can see most of them are up there anyway. I'm not putting a counter on every unit. Interesting, the Germans, the Soviets also with 3rd Tank Corps here, pressing pretty hard and just picking a hex at a time, basically looking for opportunities to attack at decent odds. It's very difficult to get good odds as the Soviets, so you got to take the riskier attacks at 2 to 1, 3 to 1, where you do run between 50% and 33% chance of taking a loss or having a retreat, right? So we've managed to do okay around this Tolsty-Rogi area here. The Germans pulled back because they were adjacent to all these guys, and if they stayed, they would have had to attack. So they're pulling back. They've got the engineers here. They moved this turn. They're about to build fortifications here, and we're going to hold here. This is the line. And if we don't hold there, well, I guess really this is the line. So I think the Germans can hang in there. I probably should have actually, well, next turn, I may bring some other engineers. Now that I don't need the engineers to keep rebuilding the roads as soon as the deep mud goes away, I should probably put some engineers here and build fortifications, and maybe even across here, and then just stack the crap out of those guys and put some heavy 16th Panzer mechanized dudes in there. So they would be double to 18, right, on defense. That's just going to make it super hard. Now the thing is, even at 2 to 1, let's say I get a D1, I've got to make a choice then. Do I lose a step or do I retreat? And at some point we're going to get to, around about here, we can't afford to retreat, so we're going to have to start taking step losses. And this 6, 9, 10, for instance, it loses a lot of punch. It drops down to a 3, 5, 10. So that's going to impact the ability for the Germans to stay, to the plan that I've built, which is keeping this road open while we keep this zone here, this bridgehead across the river, for not a decisive victory, but just for a modest victory. I forget what it's called. It's probably a marginal. I don't know what it's specifically called, but that's my game plan. The extra units on the map is making turns take a little longer. That's to be understood. We've got a lot of units in column here. These are all in column. My column markers got moved off, but they're all in column, and it's just taken some time to get through a turn now, because there's a lot more pieces on the board. So I think as you play this, you're going to see, particularly if you play the campaign game, you're going to be up for it with gameplay, and it is a little bit close. These hexes and the counter size it's old school monster wargaming, so no big sexy large hexes here. Otherwise the map would be ridiculously big. And it makes me wonder if there might not have been other choices about the battle area, but I don't know enough about the specific history and where the specific actions took place that it would warrant making changes, right? I know the Nepa River is up on the right-hand side, and that doesn't really get used, but it's there, I guess, for artistic purposes or whatever. Anyway, beside the point, if you like these games, you're going to love this. If you don't like games that have a bunch of units and a lot of cool shit going on, then this ain't your Huckleberry. It's not your thing. It's not going to be your little peach pie, right? So just move right along and, don't watch the rest of the videos or whatnot. But it's very enjoyable. But we're now at that point where it's attack, retreat, and pulling back a hex by hex, because I'm being a reluctant defender as the Germans, switching to the defense mode, and I'm still looking for counterattack opportunities. We've done a couple down here and a couple up here where we're actually pushing units back across the river there. But yeah, it's becoming highly attritional, which makes perfect sense given the state of the battle and the stage that we're at here. We only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more turns to go. I'm probably going to call it at some point. It'll be pretty obvious if it's done or not done, as the case may be. I don't enjoy playing a game all the way through to the bitter end just to prove that I am indeed a masochist. We do enough difficult things as wargamers without crushing our souls, rolling dice for no reason when the result is apparent. All right, all the best. Ciao.